इंशाल्लाह अगले स्पीकर होंगे मिस्टर इकबाल शरीफ, जिनका उन्वान, जिनका टॉपिक होगा मुस्लिम्स कंट्रीब्यूशन टू इंडिया। एडवोकेट इकबाल शरीफ, मुस्लिम्स कंट्रीब्यूशन टू इंडिया।
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। Contribution of Muslims to India. This is the subject given to me. The first question that will arise here is, what is India? इंडिया का मतलब क्या है? इंडिया का आज हमारे पास जो मतलब है, कश्मीर से कन्याकुमारी तक, इधर कच्छ से आसाम तक, ये है। लेकिन जिस वक्त मुसलमान इंडिया में आए या इस्लाम इंडिया में आया, इंडिया ऐसा नहीं था। इंडिया दूसरे टाइप का था, जिसमें आज का जो पाकिस्तान है वो ईरान का हिस्सा था, इंडिया का हिस्सा नहीं था, ईरान का हिस्सा था। फिर 1947 में हमना जब इंडिपेंडेंस मिली, इंग्लैंड ब्रिटिश पार्लियामेंट में इंडियन इंडिपेंडेंस एक्ट पास होकर हमना जो इंडिया को इंडिपेंडेंस मिली, उसके मुताबिक इंडिया आज जो है उसका 2/3 ब्रिटिश इंडिया का था, 2/3वां हिस्सा। 1/3वां हिस्सा इंडियन स्टेट्स, हैदराबाद, मैसूर स्टेट, जम्मू एंड कश्मीर स्टेट, भोपाल स्टेट, ऐसे 612 स्टेट्स थे। उनके ऊपर अंग्रेजों की हुकूमत नहीं थी। इंडियन इंडिपेंडेंस एक्ट जो पास हुआ वो ब्रिटिश इंडिया के वास्ते हुआ, सो ये स्टेट्स के वास्ते हुआ नहीं। दैट इज, दो स्टेट्स वर ऑलरेडी इंडिपेंडेंट, दे वर नॉट अंडर द ब्रिटिश क्राउन। तो 1947, 15 अगस्त 1947 के वक्त जो इंडिया था वो और आज का इंडिया अलग है। तो इंडिया कौन सा? अकबर के जमाने का इंडिया अलग था। बाबर के जमाने में अफगानिस्तान भी इंडिया का हिस्सा था। तो इंडिया की जो इंडिया इज ए ज्योग्राफिकल फैक्टर, नेशनल फैक्टर नहीं। श्रीधर मूर्ति साहब बोले, हिंदू मीन्स इट इज ए सोशियोलॉजिकल स्टडी, सोशियोलॉजिकल नेम, it is not a religious name. In the same way, India is not a political or national name. It is a geographical name. It is an entire continent, subcontinent. जरा में subcontinent बोलते हैं, but it is a continent. So in this continent, what is the contribution of the Muslims? We have to study. When Islam came, the areas of India, which are now in Pakistan, had the same population ratio as the UP has got, or MP has got, as Karnataka has got. Only 10, 15, 20% Muslims and 30% SC, STs, 30% OBCs. But you don't see SC, STs and OBCs in those states of India which have gone to Pakistan. There are no OBCs, there are no SC, STs. What happened to those SC, STs? They all became Muslims. Which means the contribution of Islam to India was greatest in that region. From its contribution in the way of converting SC, STs, OBCs as Muslims and giving them freedom, equality, respectability, which even to this day our SC, STs and OBCs do not have. इससे बड़ा contribution कुछ हो सकता है? Similarly, if you go to Bangladesh, 90% of the Bengalis are Muslims, which means they were also in the same proportion as they are in UP, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh. But no, 90% of them are Muslims. That is to say, SC, ST, PCs, they have all become Muslims there. Can there be a greater contribution? This point we have to keep in mind. No, let us not go to all that large contribution in the entire subcontinent. Let us confine to the Indian continent, Indian nation. As we are seeing now, after 1947. Let us take that into consideration. इसके अंदर क्या है, हमारा जो इंडिया अब का है उसके अंदर हमें सब बोले 15 अगस्त 1947 को इंडिया को इंडिपेंडेंस मिली, इंग्लैंड में पास हुए सो इंडियन इंडिपेंडेंस एक्ट के तहत पूरे इंडियंस वो बोल रहे सो इंडिपेंडेंस डे हमें सेलिब्रेट करते हैं। 15 अगस्त 47 से पहले इंडिपेंडेंस का सवाल नहीं आया, बिकॉज the Indians themselves were ruling themselves. Only when the British people came, a new system came where the Indians had no share in the rule of government. Therefore, they were a slave country. So they demanded independence and they became independent. But M.S. Bhagwat says, Hindus have attained independence after 800 years of slavery. We have attained independence in 2014 only, after 800 years of slavery. Whose slavery? किसकी गुलामी? 2014, 1947 से 2014 तक कांग्रेस की या जनता दल की या दूसरे की गुलामी। 47 से पहले अंग्रेजों की गुलामी, अंग्रेजों की 100-150 साल की हुकूमत। उससे पहले ये पूरे निकाल दिया तो 600 साल फिर भी बच कर 800 में 600 साल किसकी गुलामी करिया इन्हें? इसकी कौम किसकी गुलामी करी? Was it slavery? This fellow who does not know history, who is going by dreaming passions, he says we have been ruled for 800 years by others. Rest of the Indians are not telling. Only RSS is telling that. RSS comprising of how many persons? Only Brahmins, supported by some Baniyas. Even all the Brahmins are not RSS people. Brahmin women are not in the RSS. Only men are there. Brahmin women are not Brahmins. Excepting cow and Brahmin, the entire society is Shudras. Shankaracharya वो बोलता है, पूरी का Shankaracharya, excepting cow and Brahmins, all are untouchables. Even Brahmin wife is an untouchable. She is also a Shudra. She becomes touchable only for a particular purpose. Similarly, other untouchable women also become touchables for some particular purpose. This is the mentality of the RSS Brahmins. Non-RSS Brahmins are there. Nehru. They are not RSS Brahmins. They don't consider themselves to be slaves. They have no inferiority complex. They say, before independence also we were a nation comprising of Muslims, Christians, Parsis, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, everybody. Religion is secondary here, according to the definition of nation or concept of nation, which people like Vivekananda, Raja Ram Mohan Rai, Dr. Ambedkar, these people had. This is the wrong notion of this micro minority. There is no need to care for them. There is no need for caring for all these fellows who are talking of Ghar Wapasi, conversion, anti-conversion. There is no need. They are barking dogs. Why should we bother about that? Anyway, that is a different subject. Now let me come to the contribution of Muslims to the India that is now in the map of the world, comprising of 30 states and so many union territories. Let us consider that. The greatest contribution is Red Fort, on the rampart of which Independence Day flag is hoisted. Nehru dreamed for so many years, when India becomes independent, I will hoist the Indian national flag from the rampart of Red Fort, and I will deliver a speech to the nation from there. This was the long cherished dream of Nehru. That was the cherished dream of subsequent prime ministers, including the present Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He also had a dream, I must have the opportunity of hoisting the Indian national flag on the rampart of Red Fort. Look at the importance of this Red Fort. After partition, Jinnah requested Nehru, give our Red Fort to us. We will keep the embassy of Pakistan in the Red Fort. Nehru said, Red Fort is more important for you than to the Pakistanis. That is the center seat of our culture, our pride, our politics, our greatness. We cannot do that. Because Nehru was already dreaming when Indian independence was approaching fast. He was already dreaming that he will hoist the flag from there. Then let us take Kannada is here, Tamil is there, Bengali is there, different regions, different languages. In the Aryavarta present UP, Bihar, Punjab, Haryana, these states, there were so many languages. Haryanavi, Punjabi, Rajasthani, Khari Boli, Bhojpuri, Awadhi, so many languages, only spoken languages. A man from Haryana could not talk to a man in Punjab. A man from Punjab could not talk to a man in Rajasthan. He cannot talk to a person in Bihar and in any other place. That was the position. There was no scope for people to talk to each other. Taking all these languages, Haryanavi, Rajasthani, Punjabi, Awadhi, Bhojpuri, taking all these languages as the base, impressed upon them Arabic, Persian and Turkic and gave a new language. That language they called as Rekhta. Rekhta means mixture. A mixture of so many languages. Then that Rekhta is now called as Hindi, Hindvi, Hindustani, Urdu. These are all the various names. Any man from any corner of North India speaks that language. His Rajasthani, his Punjabi, his Haryanavi is for his home or for his village. But when he comes out of the village, comes out of the house, he speaks in this language which has been given by the Muslims. Single language spread over from this side, this corner to that corner. That is the greatest contribution of Muslims. Variously called Hindi, Hindvi, Hindustani, Urdu, Rekhta. All these things are there. But Hindi-Urdu controversy came. Let us not go into that. Let us not go into politics here. We are discussing only about the cultural contribution. Contribution in the field of art, in the field of literature, in the field of music, in the field of foods. Our brother Sridhar Murthy has written very much in this book, Ram Ramayana Babar. He wrote in English, we published in Urdu, we published in Kannada also. How much Muslims have contributed for the entire life? Behavior, attitude, thinking of the Indians. That is the greatest contribution. And I have to say, we call that culture, some people say Ganga Jamni culture. That is not Ganga Jamni culture. UP people, in order to boost themselves, call it as Ganga Jamni culture. There is no Ganga Jamni culture in South India. In South India, if what all we have to say, this Krishna Kaveri culture. Here, Dravidians and the Muslims are mixed. It is a Krishna Kaveri culture. Whereas in UP and all, it may be. But Muslims and historians have called it as Mughal culture. Instead of telling Muslim culture or Islamic culture, they wanted to give a secular national name to this culture. They called it Mughal culture. Mughals came in the 16th century. Before that, for 500 years, sultans were there. Khilji dynasty, Tughlaq dynasty, so many dynasties from Delhi. Those people, culture also, that should have been called as Turkic culture or Iranian culture or Muslim culture. They did not say that. They did not give a name at all. When we say Mughal culture, it includes that culture also. Culture of the Muslims with their greater impression of Islam and Islamic concept on the local Indian culture. Let us not say Hindu, because there is no Hindu, as Brother Sridhar Murthy has said. There is no Hindu. But for convenience sake, let us take it. Impregnating Islamic values on Hindu culture. We can say like that. And for that, there is no need for the Muslims to feel desperate or pessimistic. The highest promotion of this Mughal culture is going on in these days in independence India. During the British days, it did not spread so much. During the Mughal days itself, it did not spread so much. This Mughal culture is spreading in every corner of India. No. Women wearing shalwar and khamis. That is an Islamic libas. Shalwar means pajama, Persian. Khamis is Arabic. There is no appropriate word in any other Indian language for the dress. You see, every woman is wearing. Most of the women are wearing this shalwar khamis. And even our burqa is being imitated by young girls who are going on bikes, covering so much of face in summer, telling it protects us from sun heat. Our skin will not become dark. In winter also they cover it protects us from moisture. Dupatta. See, these are all the culture which are spreading. And Mughlai kitchen. Mughlai biryani, Hyderabadi biryani, Lucknowi dishes, Hyderabadi dishes, Delhi dishes. Even in extreme places in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, those dishes have become popular. So those are all the dishes that were created in the Mughal palaces, Mughal kitchens. Which from there they percolated to only Muslim houses. Till 1947. After 1947, this is all spreading to every home. Then look at the marriage. Our marriage, only Muslims used to put long sherwani and sera. No, everybody is following that long sherwani. It has become a fashion for a bridegroom to wear on that, and also to tie flowers here at least. So Mughal culture is spreading. This, when Bhagavad says that we have attained freedom, he has not attained. He has attained it in his dream. He cannot destroy that culture, which is liked by everybody, because 99% of the Indians are not Brahmins. They don't have their own separate things to assert. They have taken our culture. And Delhi, the capital of India, was given by the Muslims. Dehliz means door, doorstep, wascal, gate. India, Delhi, threshold. Delhi is the threshold of India. Whoever happens to sit in Delhi can rule the whole of India. That is what they said. Dehliz became Delhi. There is no possibility for a man to say about the contribution of Muslims to India, because the contribution is so much in your food habit, in your plates, in your cookeries, in your dress, in your talk. In every aspect of Indian's life, there is an impression of Muslim contribution. Therefore, I can limiting myself to this extent. I can stop, but I would say.
Narendra Modi's dress.
Now look at this Narendra Modi's stress. What is the dress this fellow is putting on? Close collar coat. That is the shortened half sherwani. Sherwani Muslims used to wear in winter. In winter, in North India, extreme winter is there. Now you are seeing the extreme winter and extreme summer. In this extreme summer, they used to put on jubba and pajama and a cotton cap. But in winter they used to put on closed collar, sherwani, long sherwani and fur cap. This fellow is imitating that. Not only that, you will see, recently they have said he put on a coat of 10 lakhs rupees worth. This Narendra Modi is dreaming. He wants to sit on the throne of Akbar or Shah Jahan in the House of Commons, putting on the same dress as the Emperor Shah Jahan used to put on. He used what dress Shah Jahan used to put on, that he wants to put on and sit in the House of Commons, in the Diwan-e-Am, is House of Commons, conduct a parliament session there, sitting on the throne on which Shah Jahan used to sit. And it is, even he may be dreaming that he should sit in with the same dresses along with his darbaris, cabinet ministers, just as Shah Jahan used to sit in the Diwan-e-Khas in Red Fort. He will even do that. Because they cannot think of other than from the grandeur of Muslims. My friend Mishra, advocate, was there. He recently died. He was from a man from UP. But he was practicing here. He died here for 30-40 years. He said in a speech once, the greatest mistake that the Hindus have done after independence is keeping Delhi only as the capital of India. Immediately they should have shifted the capital of India to Banaras or to Nagpur, because the spirits of all the great Muslim emperors are loitering in the atmosphere of Delhi. Whoever sits, whether it is Vajpayee or Modi or Nehru, those spirits of these emperors sit upon their head and tell them, do like this, do like this, do like this. So whatever may be the position of these people, they will do only what the Muslims want them to do. Only what Muslims have done. They cannot deviate a little. Even the MPs who go from all over India and sit in Delhi, they are also victimized by the spirits of the nobles and generals of the Mughals. Not only that, when our women MPs go, they are dominated by the spirit of Mumtaz Mahal and Noor Jahan. They also start imitating them. This is the position. This great mistake they should have done. They should have done then itself. Now they cannot shift, because everybody will spit on their face. Nobody will do like that. So this is, in a nutshell, the contribution of Muslims to India. We have to think more, we have to speak more, we have to, already thousands of pages have been written on this. I have just given a few points. Thank you very much.
Jazakallah khair, Advocate Iqbal Sharif. That was a little humorous speech here also to lighten the environment.